The legalization of cannabis in Canada in October 2018 was met with widespread optimism and excitement. It was heralded as a pioneering move that would spark economic growth, create jobs, and eliminate the black market. Fast forward to today, and the Canadian cannabis industry, while still operational, has not quite lived up to expectations. Growth has stalled, profitability remains elusive for many businesses, and a series of regulatory, market, and logistical challenges have stymied the sector's progress. As cannabis legalization continues to spread in the United States, it raises a critical question. Will the same thing happen south of the border? To understand why the cannabis industry in Canada has stalled, it's essential to look at a variety of factors that have hampered its success. One of the primary reasons is overregulation. When Canada first legalized cannabis, the government instituted strict rules regarding cultivation, distribution, and sales. Every facet of the industry was tightly controlled, from who could grow and sell cannabis to how it could be marketed and consumed. Health Canada, the agency responsible for regulating the industry, implemented a lengthy licensing process for cannabis producers, causing significant delays for businesses trying to enter the market. Additionally, Canadian cannabis producers are subject to stringent packaging and marketing restrictions. Cannabis products must be sold in plain, child-resistant packaging with very little room for branding, making it difficult for companies to differentiate their products. There are also strict limitations on advertising, further reducing the ability of companies to reach consumers. While these measures were put in place to protect public health and avoid the glamorization of cannabis, they have made it difficult for legal businesses to compete with the black market, where branding and marketing are much less restricted. The black market itself remains a major issue in Canada. Despite legalization, a significant portion of cannabis sales still occur outside the legal market. The illicit market offers cheaper products because illegal producers don't have to comply with the same regulatory standards or pay the taxes that legal businesses do. According to data from the Ontario Cannabis Store, legal cannabis accounted for just 56% of total sales in Ontario in 2022, with the black market retaining a substantial share. This competition from the illicit market has prevented many legal cannabis companies from achieving the level of success they anticipated. Another factor contributing to the stagnation of the Canadian cannabis industry is oversupply. In the years following legalization, there was a rush to establish cultivation facilities, with many companies expanding rapidly in anticipation of strong demand. However, the actual demand for legal cannabis has not matched these inflated expectations, leading to an oversupply of cannabis in the market. As a result, prices have plummeted, leaving many producers struggling to turn a profit. The excess supply has forced some companies to destroy unsold cannabis or significantly reduce their production capacity. Retail distribution has also been a problem in Canada. In the early stages of legalization, there were simply not enough licensed retail outlets to meet consumer demand. Some provinces, like Ontario, initially limited the number of stores, creating long wait times for consumers and driving them back to the black market. While the number of retail outlets has increased in recent years, the slow rollout of retail stores in key provinces like Ontario and Quebec hindered the industry's growth during its crucial first years. Taxation and pricing are additional hurdles. Cannabis is subject to federal and provincial taxes in Canada, which can make legal products more expensive than their black market counterparts. This price disparity has led many consumers to continue purchasing from illegal sources, particularly in regions where there is easy access to black market products. The legal market has struggled to compete on price, even as it has expanded its product offerings to include edibles, vapes, and other cannabis derivatives. On top of these challenges, cannabis companies have faced difficulties in accessing traditional banking services due to the stigma surrounding cannabis and its classification as a controlled substance at the federal level in many countries, including the U.S. While Canadian businesses have had more access to capital than their American counterparts, securing financing and investment has still been a challenge for many, especially as profitability has proven elusive for much of the industry. Despite these obstacles, there are signs of hope. Some cannabis companies in Canada have begun to adjust their strategies, focusing on efficiency, scaling down operations, and targeting niche markets. The industry may still have room to grow, especially as it continues to mature and regulatory hurdles are addressed. But for now, the Canadian cannabis industry is not the booming success many had hoped for. The situation in Canada raises important questions about the future of the cannabis industry in the United States. Currently, cannabis is legal for recreational use in over 20 states, with more states expected to follow in the coming years. The U.S. cannabis industry is already much larger than Canada's, with states like California and Colorado leading the way. However, many of the same issues that have plagued the Canadian market could potentially emerge in the U.S. For one, overregulation is a concern. Cannabis businesses in the U.S. face a patchwork of state and federal regulations, which can be difficult to navigate. The federal government still classifies cannabis as a Schedule I controlled substance, meaning that cannabis businesses cannot access traditional banking services or take advantage of tax deductions that are available to other industries. This has forced many businesses to operate on a cash-only basis, which presents security risks and logistical challenges. Additionally, the black market remains a significant competitor in the U.S., especially in states where cannabis is legal but heavily taxed and regulated. Like in Canada, illegal cannabis is often cheaper than its legal counterpart, making it difficult for legal businesses to attract customers. The persistence of the black market in states like California, where legal cannabis is widely available, suggests that simply legalizing cannabis is not enough to eliminate illegal sales. Oversupply is another issue that could affect the U.S. cannabis industry, particularly as more states legalize cannabis and more businesses enter the market. If supply outstrips demand, prices could fall, putting pressure on cannabis producers to reduce costs and improve efficiency. The U.S. cannabis industry has already seen some signs of this, with cannabis prices in states like Oregon and Colorado declining as the market matures. Taxation is also a major concern in the U.S. Like in Canada, high taxes on legal cannabis can drive consumers back to the black market. In California, for example, the state levies multiple layers of taxes on cannabis, including a cultivation tax, a state excise tax, and local taxes. These taxes can make legal cannabis significantly more expensive than black market alternatives, particularly for low-income consumers. The success of the U.S. cannabis industry will likely depend on how these challenges are addressed. If states can strike a balance between regulation and accessibility, the industry could continue to grow and thrive. On the other hand, if the U.S. follows in Canada's footsteps, the cannabis industry could face similar issues of oversupply, overregulation, and competition from the black market, leading to stagnation and disappointment for those who hoped it would be a booming success. So, Canada's cannabis industry has stalled due to a combination of overregulation, oversupply, competition from the black market, and pricing challenges, and there are lessons to be learned for the U.S. As cannabis legalization continues to spread across America, policymakers and industry leaders must be mindful of these pitfalls and work to create a more sustainable, competitive market. The future of the cannabis industry in the U.S. remains uncertain, but with careful planning and regulation, it could avoid the mistakes made in Canada and fulfill its potential as a major economic driver.